They told him to go back into the storm. They said it like it was nothing. Like his breath did not matter. Like his chest was not tightening for a reason.
I need to come in, please.
What they did not know was this. The man they were turning away was the reason. The building was still open. Quick one before we get into it. Where are you watching from tonight? Drop your city or state in the comments. And if you believe in dignity, fairness, and real accountability, hit like and subscribe. Because these stories do not end the way people expect. Rain came down hard on the Upper East Side, the kind that turned the sidewalks into mirrors and made every headlight look like a streak of fire. Cabs hissed past. Umbrellas fought for survival. People moved fast, collars up, eyes down, like the world was something to get through. Across from a row of luxury town cars, a building glowed warm behind tall glass doors. Soft lighting, brass lettering, a canopy that kept the wet world outside. The plaque beside the entrance read, St. Alderley Concierge. Medicine, no neon, no noise, just quiet money. A man approached from the edge of the pavement, an older umbrella bent against the wind. He moved carefully, not slow, just measured, like every step was being weighed. His name was Cassius Everhart, 62, African-American, tall, broad, steady, in the way older men get when they have had to keep themselves steady for decades. His locks were long and pulled back neatly, threaded with gray at the roots. His coat was plain, older but clean, not trying to impress anyone. Rainwater rolled from his sleeves and every few breaths. Something in his chest tightened like a fist. He did not dramatize it. He did not announce it to the night. He just kept going, one careful step at a time, holding a slim leather folder against his body like it contained something fragile. When he reached the canopy, warmth hit him. The air smelled faintly of eucalyptus and expensive candles, even from outside. He exhaled, shallow, and stepped toward the doors. They did not open. Above the frame, a small camera adjusted and whirred like it was deciding what he was. An intercom crackled. A man's voice came through, clipped and cautious. "Can I help you?" Cassius looked up, letting the camera take his face. "Yes," he said, calm. "I need to be seen. It's urgent." There was a pause that did not feel medical. It felt personal. "We're by appointment only," the voice said. "I'm having chest tightness," Cassius replied, breathings off. "I need a doctor." Silence. Then the voice returned, colder, "Sir. You need to go to the ER." Cassius blinked slowly, rain still dripping from his cuffs. "This is a medical clinic," he said. "It's a private clinic," the voice corrected. "We can't just let people in." "People." Cassius's jaw tightened, but his tone stayed even. "Please, let me speak to reception." Another pause. A faint sigh, like the request itself was inconvenient. "Hold." A click. The lock released part way. The doors opened, just enough for him to slip inside. The lobby was marble and soft light, the kind of place where silence was part of the package. Music played low, something smooth and forgettable. A winter arrangement sat on a side table, white lights and silver ornaments, tasteful and sterile. The air was warm, almost too warm, like comfort was a product being sold. Behind the reception desk sat a woman in her 30s, polished hair, polished smile. Her name tag, red Madeline dot to the side, stood a man in a crisp suit. 40s posture, like he owned the air. He watched Cassius the way a bouncer watches a line outside a club. Near the doors, a security guard shifted his stance. Hands clasped, eyes alert. Madeline smiled, but it never reached her eyes. "Good evening," she said. "How can we help you?" Cassius stepped closer, breathing controlled. "I need to see a doctor," he said. "It's urgent. Chest tightness." The man in the suit took a half step forward, subtle, blocking without touching. "His name tag," said Graham, front of house manager. "Do you have a membership ID?" Graham asked. "No." Madeline's smile became procedure. "We are a concierge practice, sir. Membership. Only. I can pay out of pocket, Cassius said. Whatever the urgent fee is. Graham let out a small laugh, like Cassius had tried to bluff. That's not how it works. Cassius held his gaze. I'm not here for a wellness package, he said. I'm having symptoms that can kill people. Madeline glanced at Graham. He gave a barely visible nod. She turned back to Cassius. Voice sugary, out of network. Urgent consult starts at $2,500, she said. Diagnostics, additional payment up front. Cassius nodded once. Fine. He reached into his coat and placed a black card on the counter. Madeline hesitated before touching it. The hesitation telling its own story. Then, she slid it toward herself with 2 fingers and started typing. Graham watched Cassius closely, like he expected anger. Volume, a scene.cassis did not give him one. Madeline looked up. Name. Cassius Everhart. Madeline repeated it slowly, like she was tasting the syllables. Cassius Everhart. Graham tilted his head, eyes narrowing. Purpose of visit. Chest tightness, Cassius said. Shortness of breath. Earlier, my left arm felt heavy. Graham's expression did not turn concerned the way it should have. Instead, it turned suspicious. Any drug use? Graham asked. Cocaine, stimulants. Cassius froze for a half-second. Not because he was shocked, but because he was tired of being unsurprised, he said. Graham lifted a hand, pretending professionalism. We have to rule out behaviors. Cassius's voice stayed calm, but it cut. You did not ask that because of my symptoms, he said. You asked that because of how I look. Madeline's fingers paused. Mid-type Graham's smile held thin. Sir, don't make this something it isn't. Cassius met his eyes. It already is what it is. In the seating area, a wealthy couple watched openly. A white man in his 60s, with an expensive watch and a tight mouth. A white woman in a designer coat. Her expression like she was smelling something sour. The woman whispered, not quietly enough. Why is he in here? The man shrugged. Probably trying to get warm, he murmured. Cassius. Heard it. His face did not change. His eyes. Did Madeline cleared her throat. We can have you fill out intake forms, she said. It may take some time, Cassius asked. Madeline glanced toward the seating area. Members come first. Cassius inhaled slowly. It caught in his chest, sharp, and he controlled it. I am asking for urgent care, he said. Graham leaned in slightly, lowering his voice, as if doing Cassius a favor. People cannot just walk in off the street and demand access, he said. Cassius. Looked at him. People. Graham smiled. Yes, people. Cassius held the leather folder tighter. You heard my symptoms, Cassius said, and still decided I was off the street. Graham straightened, voice firmer. If you raise your voice, security will escort you out. Cassius glanced at the guard. The guard was already shifting. Ready. Cassius looked back at Graham. I haven't raised my voice once. For a moment, the lobby felt like it held its breath. Then a door opened down the corridor, and a woman's voice cut through, professional and warm. What's going on out here? A doctor stepped into view. Late 30s. African-American. Scrubs. Under a white coat. Her hair was pulled back neatly. Her presence was calm, but her eyes were sharp in the way people get when they are used to reading rooms quickly. Her badge read, Dr. Asha Bennett. Graham turned toward her, forcing a smile. Doctor, we're handling it. It doesn't look like it, Dr. Bennett replied. She looked directly at Cassius. Sir, are you having chest pain? Tightness, Cassius said. Short of breath. Left arm felt heavy earlier. Dr. Bennett's expression shifted into immediate focus. You need to be assessed now, she said. Graham stepped in. He's not a member. Dr. Bennett turned to him, eyes hard. He is a patient with cardiac symptoms in our lobby, she said. That is enough. The security guard shifted closer. Doc, we don't know who he is, the guard said. Cassius looked at him. You decided who I was the moment I walked in, he said quietly. Dr. Bennett raised a hand. Step back. She told the guard. The guard hesitated, eyes flicking to Graham. Graham gave a tiny nod, as if permission was needed for basic decency. The guard stepped back, but his eyes stayed on Cassius, like a warning. Dr. Bennett gestured down the corridor. Come with me, she said. We're going to check you right now. Cassius followed her careful steps. Steady face, as he passed the wealthy couple, the man muttered under his breath. Unbelievable. Cassius did not look at him. He kept walking, clutching the folder, breathing shallowly. In the triage room, the lighting was bright and clinical, less polished, more real. Dr. Bennett guided Cassius into a chair. I'm Dr. Bennett, she said. Asha. Cassius, he replied. She put a pulse ox on his finger, wrapped a blood pressure cuff around his arm. The machine word and tightened numbers appeared. Dr. Bennett's eyes narrowed. Oxygen is a little low, she said. Blood pressure is high. Heart rate is up. Cassius exhaled. I was doing better before I walked into that lobby, he said. Dr. Bennett gave a small, tired smile. Yeah, she said. Being treated like a threat will do that. She listened to his chest with her stethoscope. Any history of heart disease? She asked. Cassius. Nodded once. Stent 4 years ago, he said. After my brother died, I didn't want to ignore signs. Dr. Bennett's eyes sharpened. Medications? She asked. Cassius opened his leather folder and pulled out neatly organized papers. Medication list. Cardiology notes. A letter in an envelope. Dr. Bennett scanned quickly, then paused at the letterhead. Her gaze lifted. The Everhart Community Health Trust. She said, Cassius. Watched her. Yes. Dr. Bennett read another line. Something in her face changed, not shock. More like anger, finally finding a target. This says, you have a board meeting here, she said. Cassius's voice stayed calm. Tomorrow morning, he said. 10. Dr. Bennett inhaled slowly. They left you in the lobby, she said. They tried to put me back out in the rain. Cassius replied. Dr. Bennett tapped on her tablet. We're doing an EKG in labs, she said. If this looks unstable, we call an ambulance. No debate. Cassius nodded. Do what you need to do. Dr. Bennett's tone softened, just a little. I'm sorry, she said. Cassius looked at her, steady. Don't apologize for them, he said. Document it. Dr. Bennett met his gaze. I will. Back in the lobby, Graham stood close to Madeline, voice low, irritated. Why did she take him? He demanded. Because he said, chest tightness. Madeline replied. He said it to you first, Graham snapped. Cassius looked at him. You decided who I was the moment I walked in, he said quietly. Dr. Bennett raised a hand. Step back. She told the guard. The guard hesitated, eyes flicking to Graham. Graham gave a tiny nod, as if permission was needed for basic decency. The guard stepped back, but his eyes stayed on Cassius, like a warning. Dr. Bennett gestured down the corridor. Come with me, she said. We're going to check you right now. Cassius followed her careful steps. Steady face, as he passed the wealthy couple, the man muttered under his breath. Unbelievable. Cassius did not look at him. He kept walking, clutching the folder, breathing shallowly. In the triage room, the lighting was bright and clinical, less polished, more real. Dr. Bennett guided Cassius into a chair. I'm Dr. Bennett, she said. Asha. Cassius, he replied. She put a pulse ox on his finger, wrapped a blood pressure cuff around his arm. The machine word and tightened numbers appeared. Dr. Bennett's eyes narrowed. Oxygen is a little low, she said. Blood pressure is high. Heart rate is up. Cassius exhaled. I was doing better before I walked into that lobby, he said. Dr. Bennett gave a small, tired smile. Yeah, she said. Being treated like a threat will do that. She listened to his chest with her stethoscope. Any history of heart disease? She asked. Cassius. Nodded once. Stent, 4 years ago, he said. After my brother died, I didn't want to ignore signs. Dr. Bennett's eyes sharpened. Medications, she asked. Cassius opened his leather folder and pulled out neatly organized papers. Medication list, cardiology notes, a letter in an envelope. Dr. Bennett scanned quickly, then paused at the letterhead. Her gaze lifted. The Everhart Community Health Trust, she said. Cassius watched her. Yes. Dr. Bennett read another line. Something in her face changed, not shock. More like anger, finally finding a target. This says, you have a board meeting here, she said. Cassius's voice stayed calm. Tomorrow morning, he said. 10. Dr. Bennett inhaled slowly. They left you in the lobby, she said. They tried to put me back out in the rain, Cassius replied. Dr. Bennett tapped on her tablet. We're doing an EKG in labs, she said. If this looks unstable, we call an ambulance. No debate. Cassius nodded. Do what you need to do. Dr. Bennett's tone softened, just a little. I'm sorry, she said. Cassius looked at her, steady. Don't apologize for them, he said. Document it. Dr. Bennett met his gaze. I will. Back in the lobby, Graham stood close to Madeline, voice low, irritated. Why did she take him? He demanded. Because he said, chest tightness, Madeline replied. He said it to you first, Graham snapped. Madeline stiffened. I offered intake, she said. Graham's voice turned colder. You offered paperwork because you assumed he wasn't our kind of patient. He said. Madeline's cheeks flushed. That's not true, she said. Graham leaned in, sharp. Be honest, he said. You saw a wet black man with lokes, no membership ID, and you decided he was trouble. Madeline swallowed. I didn't decide anything, she said. Graham glanced toward the seating area. Our members are watching, he said. If he causes a scene, we remove him. Understood. Madeline looked down at her screen. His card went through, she said quietly. Graham froze. What? Madeline turned the monitor slightly. Approved, she said. No limit warning. Graham's face changed. Not respect. Fear, name. Again, he said. Cassius Everhart. Graham's eyes narrowed, like he had finally recognized a name he should have recognized earlier. He turned sharply toward the security guard. Stay close, he murmured, quietly. Later that night, Cassius sat in a private waiting area, with a blanket over his shoulders. EKG stickers peeked from beneath his shirt collar. A monitor beeped softly beside him. The wealthy couple were still there, sipping like nothing was wrong, watching like they had paid for this. A new patient entered with swagger. Late 50s, white, tan coat, expensive scarf. He looked around like he expected applause. His name was Clayton Briggs. He stopped when he saw Cassius, then looked at the room, then at the nurse. This is the VIP lounge, he asked. Yes, sir, the nurse replied. Clayton nodded, then pointed with his chin. And he's supposed to be in here? The nurse stiffened. Dr. Bennett stepped into the room. Mr. Briggs, she said, please take a seat. Clayton did not sit. I'm not sitting in here with him, he said. Silence. Cassius lifted his eyes slowly. You don't want to sit near a man having heart symptoms, Cassius said. Clayton laughed like Cassius was being clever. I don't know who you are, Clayton said. This is private. I pay for discretion. Cassius nodded once. So do I, he said. And yet, here we are. Clayton's voice rose. Don't get smart with me. Dr. Bennett stepped forward, calm but firm. Lower your voice, she said. Clayton looked at her, then sneered. Of course, you're on his side. Dr. Bennett's eyes sharpened. I'm on the side of medical care, she said. Graham entered with the security guard behind him, looking like he was walking into his own play. Is there an issue? Graham asked Clayton, pointed openly. Yes, he said. He shouldn't be in here. Graham looked at Cassius, then at Dr. Bennett. then back at Clayton. His choice was immediate. "Doctor, may I speak with you?" Graham said no. Dr. Bennett replied. Graham blinked. "Excuse me?" "Not privately," Dr. Bennett said. "Not about this. He is being evaluated for a possible cardiac event. He stays." Clayton scoffed. "Cardiac event," he said. "Sure." Cassius's voice stayed calm, but it landed hard. "If I walked in with a blazer and a gold watch," he said, "you'd offer me tea and call me sir, like you meant it." Clayton laughed. "Don't make it about race," he said. Cassius held his gaze. "You made it about race the moment you looked at me and decided I didn't belong." "Cassius," said Graham, stepped closer. Voice firm, polished cruelty. "Mr. Everhart, if you cannot behave appropriately, we can arrange transport to a hospital," he said. Cassius looked at him. "Behave appropriately," he repeated. He scanned the room, the watching faces, the comfort bought with money. "A white man points at me like I'm dangerous," Cassius said. "A white woman whispers, 'Why is he here?' And you call me the problem." Graham's smile hardened. "You are escalating," he said. "That's the word you use when a black man refuses to shrink," Cassius replied. The security guard shifted closer. "Sir," the guard said, "if you don't calm down, I'll have to escort you out." Cassius looked at him. "You are threatening to remove a man with chest pain because somebody's comfort feels offended," he said. Dr. Bennett stepped between them. "No one is escorting anyone," she said. "Step back." Graham's voice dropped. "Doctor, you are overstepping, and you are endangering a patient." Dr. Bennett replied. Cassius's breathing tightened. He pressed his hand to his chest, a flash of real discomfort. The monitor beeped faster. He steadied himself, then spoke, quiet but clear. "Open the donor file," he said. Silence. Graham let out a laugh. "Too loud. Pardon." "Open the donor file," Cassius repeated. "The one you brag about. The one you use to sell this place. Open it." Graham's smile thinned. "This is a clinic," he said, "not a stage." "Then stop performing," Cassius said. He turned slightly toward Madeline, who hovered in the doorway. "Madeline," Cassius said, "was my card approved?" Graham snapped. "You don't need to answer that." Cassius kept his gaze on Madeline. "Was it approved?" Madeline swallowed. "Yes," she said. Graham turned sharply. "Madeline." Madeline's voice shook, but she repeated it. "It was approved." Cassius nodded once. "Thank you." He turned back to Graham. "Now," Cassius said, "the donor file." Clayton frowned, confused. "What is he talking about?" Clayton muttered. Cassius reached into his folder and pulled out a letter. Clean paper, official letterhead. He held it up calmly. "This is your board meeting confirmation," he said. "Board of Trustees, 10 a.m. Agenda includes equity audit, funding continuation, leadership review." Graham went still. The wealthy couple stopped sipping. Cassius looked at the room. "Tomorrow morning," he said, at 10 o'clock. Graham tried to recover, voice suddenly gentler. "Mr. Everhart, if we had known." Cassius cut through, calm and sharp. "That's the whole point," he said. "You would only treat me like a human if you knew who I was." He paused, breath shallow. "And if I was just a regular black man with chest pain," Cassius said, "you would have pushed me back into the rain." Dr. Bennett checked the monitor. "Cassius," she said quietly, "we're calling an ambulance now." Cassius nodded, eyes still on Graham. "Call the board," Cassius said. "Now." Graham hesitated, trapped by the room watching him. Then he pulled out his phone with trembling fingers and dialed. While he spoke in a low panic, Cassius leaned back, breathing controlled, trying not to show how much it hurt. Clayton shifted, uncomfortable now, like his certainty had cracked. "If you have ever been judged before you even spoke, if you have ever watched people look through you like you are not a person, drop a comment right now that says, 'I see it.' I want to know how many of us have lived the same moment in different places." The ambulance arrived fast. Paramedics rolled a stretcher across marble floors, while members stared like their evening was being inconvenienced. As they moved Cassius toward the doors, the wealthy man leaned toward his wife and whispered, bitter. "So, he's rich," he said. "Big deal." His wife's lips curled. "Still doesn't belong in here looking like that." She said, "Cassius." Heard it as the stretcher passed. He turned his head slightly, eyes calm, voice barely above a breath. "You keep saying, belongs, like you own the air," he said. The man flinched, like being addressed by Cassius was a violation. Graham stepped forward, trying to look helpful. "Mr. Everhart," he said, "we're going to make this right." Cassius met his eyes. "You tried to make me invisible," Cassius said. "You don't get to make it right with a sentence." The doors opened. Cold rain hit again. The world outside did not care about marble. In the hospital fluorescent lights buzzed. Nurses moved with purpose, and no one asked Cassius if he was on cocaine. A young resident, African American, braids under her cap, checked his chart. "Mr. Everhart," she said, "we're running cardiac enzymes, repeating and likely taking you upstairs." Cassius nodded. Double quotes, "Thank you," he said. She paused, eyes on his lokes. "I like your hair," she said. Cassius gave a faint smile. "The first one of the night." "Appreciate it," he said. Then pain tightened his face again, and her smile disappeared into focus. Hours later, Cassius lay in a quiet hospital room, monitor humming beside him. The rain had stopped by morning, but his body still felt like it had been through something violent. His daughter arrived just after sunrise. Her name was Monique Everhart, 37, strong, tired eyes, the kind of eyes that do not play. She looked at her father, then at the hospital wristband, then at the folder on the bedside table. "You went there alone," she said. Voice tight. Cassius nodded. "I didn't want you driving in the rain, unless it was real," he said. Monique's jaw clenched. "It was real," she said. "And I swear, I'm going to burn that place down." Cassius squeezed her hand. "Calm, not with fire," he said. "With paperwork, with truth, with consequences." Monique took a breath, trying to swallow the rage. "They treated you like that because you have lokes," she said. Cassius looked at her. "They treated me like that because I'm black," he said. The lokes just made it easier for them to tell themselves their story. Monique stared at him, eyes shining. "So what's the plan?" she asked. Cassius looked at the leather folder. "The plan," he said, "is that they are going to learn what accountability feels like when it's not optional." Monique leaned forward. "Dad," she said, "tell me everything." Cassius exhaled slowly. "I walked in with symptoms," he said. "They treated me like a threat. They cared more about a member's comfort than my breath. Dr. Bennett is the only reason I got seen." Monique's eyes flashed. "And that manager?" she asked. Cassius's voice stayed calm. "That manager is going to wish he had just done the right thing when it was easy." He said. Monique frowned. "What do you mean?" she asked. Cassius glanced toward the window. Morning light spilling over the city. "I didn't go there only because of my chest," he said. Monique's gaze sharpened. "What else?" Cassius opened the folder and pulled out another document, one Monique had not seen before, a contract. "Remember the funding agreement?" Cassius asked. Monique nodded. "The one where you pledged $50 million for the expansion," she said. Cassius nodded, double quotes, "Yes," he said. "But I added clauses. Accountability clauses." Monique blinked. "What kind of clauses?" she asked. Cassius tapped the paper. "If the clinic engaged in discriminatory practices," he said, "funding freezes automatically pending investigation. If leadership participated, removal becomes a condition to restore funding." Monique stared. "You planned for this," she whispered. Cassius's eyes were tired. I planned because I know people, he said. I know what money does. It builds beautiful rooms. It doesn't automatically build better hearts. Monique sat back, stunned. So what now? She asked. Cassius's gaze turned hard. Now we go to that board meeting, he said, and we do not let them hide behind polite words. Monique nodded once, fierce. I'll be there, she said. Cassius shook his head gently. Not in the room, he said. Not yet. You'll do what you do best. Monique frowned. What's that? She asked. Cassius looked at her. You'll make sure the truth can't be buried, he said. Monique's eyes widened. You want me recording, she said. Cassius. Nodded. Monique leaned in, voice lower. Dad, she said, are you telling me you walked in there last night, knowing this might happen? Cassius's face did not change. I walked in, hoping it wouldn't, he said. I walked in, wanting to be wrong, but I also walked in ready. Monique swallowed. And you got ready, how? Cass looked at the leather folder again. Because I'm not the only one who has been watching that clinic, he said. Monique's eyes narrowed. What do you mean? She asked. Cassius's voice dropped. The equity audit didn't start tomorrow, he said. It started months ago. Monique stared at him. You already had an investigation, she said. Cassius nodded once. And last night, he said, gave me the final confirmation. Monique felt a chill run through her. What kind of confirmation? She asked. Cassius looked her in the eye. That it's not just bias, he said. It's a system. Monique's phone buzzed. A message. She glanced down, then back up. Board meeting is still on, she said. 10 a.m. Cassius nodded. Good, he said. Let them sit in their nice chairs and explain to me why my breath had to earn its way inside. At 10 a.m., the boardroom at St. Alderley was all glass and skyline, expensive wood and controlled smiles. The rain was gone, and sunlight hit the city like nothing ugly had happened the night before. The chair of the board sat at the head of the table. Rochelle Freeman, 65, African-American, retired judge, silver hair. .com presence that could silence a courtroom without raising her voice. Beside her sat a white man in his 70s. Legacy wealth, anxious eyes. Other trustees sat along the table, some nodding politely, some already uncomfortable. Graham sat farther down, posture rigid, face tight, trying to look like a man who had done nothing wrong. Dr. Bennett was there too, seated closer to the chair, quiet, professional. Eyes steady. The door opened. Cassius walked in. Clean, dark suit. Not flashy, just sharp. His hospital wristband was still on his wrist, visible when his cuff shifted. His lokes were pulled back neatly. His face looked tired, but his eyes were clear. The room stood. Polite, sudden respect. The kind that comes when money is present. Judge Freeman stepped forward. Cassius, she said. Judge Freeman, Cassius replied. They shook hands. Are you all right? She asked softly. I'm here, Cassius said. That will have to do. Everyone sat. Cassius placed his leather folder on the table and opened it slowly. I'm alive because Dr. Bennett decided I was worth care before she knew my name, Cassius said. He looked at Dr. Bennett. Thank you, he said. Dr. Bennett nodded once, professional, but it meant something. Cassius turned his gaze to the board. Now, let's talk about what happened in your lobby, he said. Graham cleared his throat. Forcing a smile, Mr. Everhart, he began. I want to apologize. There was a misunderstanding. Cassius' voice stayed calm. A misunderstanding is when two people hear the same sentence differently, he said. He slid papers across the table. This is what happened, he continued, minute by minute. Intercom audio, security logs, witness statement, medical timestamps. He pointed to one page. I said, chest tightness, Cassius said. I was told to go to the ER without even opening the door properly. When I came inside, I was questioned about cocaine. One trustee's eyes widened. Another shifted in their seat. Graham's smile tightened. "We have protocols," Graham said. "We must consider safety." Cassius looked at him. "Safety," he repeated. "For who?" Graham's jaw tightened. "For our members," he said. Cassius's eyes moved along the table. "A white member pointed at me and said he wouldn't sit in a room with me." Cassius said, "Your staff prioritized his comfort over my health." The retired judge's face hardened. Judge Freeman turned to Graham. "Respond," she said. Graham swallowed. "Mr. Everhart arrived without credentials," he said. "It created uncertainty." Cassius's voice stayed even. "Uncertainty is not a medical diagnosis," he said. "Uncertainty is what you call your bias when you're trying to make it sound professional." Graham's cheeks flushed. "I resent that," he said. "Ca. CAS looked at the board's legal counsel, a woman in her 40s. "Counsel," Cassius said, "is uncertainty. A legal defense for denying urgent care and applying discriminatory suspicion." The counsel held still for a moment, then answered carefully. "No," she said. CASSIUS nodded once. He turned to the HR director. "Is asking about drug use based on appearance acceptable?" he asked. The HR director's throat tightened. "No," she said. Graham's jaw clenched. CASSIUS looked at Graham again. "And when you said I was escalating," Cassius said, "when you threatened security, when you used the phrase 'off the street,' those are not neutral words. Those are labels that get attached to black men to justify treating us like threats." Graham's voice rose slightly. "I never said anything about race," he insisted. Cassius' eyes stayed calm. "You don't have to say it to do it, Cassius," said. Judge Freeman leaned forward, voice quiet but sharp. "Graham," she said, "did you ask Mr. Everhart about cocaine?" Graham hesitated. "We ask certain questions when we suspect," he said. "Suspect what?" Judge Freeman asked. Graham's mouth opened, closed. He felt the trap. Cassius watched him. "Steady, say it," Cassius said. "Say what you suspected." Graham's eyes flicked around the table. "I suspected," he began, then stopped. CASSIUS leaned back slightly. "That's the problem," he said. "You had suspicion, but no evidence. Just a body. My body." Judge Freeman's gaze did not move. "What do you want, Cassius?" she asked. Cassius nodded, like he had been waiting for the grown-up question. "I want accountability," he said. "Me assurable reformen consequences." He slid a document forward. "Effective immediately. I am freezing discretionary funding," Cassius said, "until reforms are implemented and verified by independent auditors." A trustee gasped softly. The white man with legacy wealth stiffened. "That's drastic," he said. Cassius looked at him. "So was being left in a lobby with a cardiac event," Cassius replied. He continued, voice steady. "1," he said. "Urgent care cannot be blocked by membership status, ever." 2, he said. "A patient advocate must be present in the lobby during all operating hours." 3, he said. "Mandatory live anti-bias training. Scenario tested. Includes security and front desk. External oversight." 4, he said. "Whistleblower protection for staff who report discriminatory behavior." Dr. Bennett's eyes flicked to Graham for a split second, then back to the table. 5, Cassius said. "A community access program funded by your marketing budget, not charity. Responsibility." Graham's face tightened. "You can't dictate how we operate," he snapped. Cassius's voice stayed quiet. "I can," he said, "because I funded what you operate." He paused. "And 6, Cassius said. "Leadership review." Silence. Judge Freeman turned to Graham. "We are placing you on administrative leave, pending investigation," she said. Graham jolted, outraged. "This is insane," he said. "I built the front-of-house experience here." Cassius looked at him. "You built a gate," Cassius said, "and you decided who it was meant to keep out." Graham's composure cracked. Anger spilled. He looked at Dr. Bennett. Of course, she's backing him, Graham said. You people always make everything about race. The room froze. Even the trustees who wanted to stay neutral could not. Judge Freeman's voice dropped deadly calm. Graham, she said, you are done speaking. Graham realized what he had said. Too late. Cassius nodded once, almost sadly. There it is, he said. Judge Freeman looked at counsel. Record that, she said. Counsel nodded. Graham's face paled. Cassius exhaled slowly, then opened another section of his folder. And now, Cassius said, we get to the second part. Judge Freeman blinked. The second part, she asked. Cassius slid a new packet across the table. Forensic accounting report, he said. Internal billing review. Patient complaint logs. Trustees leaned in, confusion, turning to concern. Cassius looked straight at Graham. I told you this wasn't just bias, Cassius said. It's a system, and systems usually make money. Graham's throat tightened. I don't know what that is, he said. Cassius turned to Judge Freeman. 3 months ago, Cassius said, my foundation received complaints from black patients who tried to access this clinic through referral programs. You advertised as inclusive. They reported being turned away, talked down to, and redirected to other facilities. A trustee frowned. We don't have referral programs, she said. Cassius tapped the marketing brochure he had included. You do, he said. You just don't honor them equally, he continued. We hired independent auditors, Cassius said. They reviewed billing patterns. They found irregularities. A hush. Judge Freeman's eyes sharpened. What irregularities? She asked. Cassius looked at her. Overbilling, he said. Double charging. Coding for services not rendered. And it spikes in certain pockets. The Legacy Wealth trustee leaned forward. That's a serious allegation, he said. Cassius nodded. It is, he said. That's why it comes with data. He pointed to a chart in the packet. And here's the twist you didn't see coming, Cassius said. The member who complained loudest last night, Clayton Briggs. He's not just a member. Trustees glanced at each other. Cassius continued. He's the owner of a third-party concierge billing vendor. You quietly contracted, Cassius said. A vendor that profits every time a patient is coded into a higher tier than they should be. Judge Freeman's face hardened. That's conflict of interest, she said. Cassius nodded. It is, he said. And it's been happening under Graham's front-of-house umbrella, because gatekeeping helps. If you keep certain patients out, you can keep certain patterns hidden. Graham stood up abruptly. This is a lie, he snapped. Judge Freeman raised a hand. Sit, she said. Graham hesitated, then sat slowly, trapped. Cassius kept his tone even. I came last night with symptoms, he said. But I also came because I wanted to see, personally, how your system treats a black man who does not arrive with visible status. He looked around the table. And you showed me, he said. You showed me exactly what my auditors have been reporting. One trustee covered her mouth. Dr. Bennett sat still, but her eyes looked like she had been carrying this for a long time. Judge Freeman turned to Dr. Bennett. Doctor, she said. Did you witness what Mr. Everhart described? Dr. Bennett spoke clearly. Yes, she said. He was treated with suspicion. His symptoms were not taken seriously until I intervened. Staff language and behavior in the lobby created a hostile environment. Graham's lips tightened. Judge Freeman looked back at Cassius. So the funding freeze stands, she said. Cassius nodded. It stands, he said, until reforms are real and until this clinic is clean. He looked at counsel. And counsel, Cassius said, my foundation will cooperate fully with any investigation. But understand this, the money does not move until accountability moves. Judge Freeman nodded once. Understood, she said. Cassius leaned back, breath measured. One more thing, he said. Judge Freeman's eyes narrowed slightly. "What?" she asked. Cassius looked at the trustees. "I am redirecting the expansion funds," he said. "Not to Marble, not to private lounges. To a community cardiac access clinic in Harlem, staffed, equipped, transparent." A trustee protested softly. "But St. Alderley needs that expansion," she said. Cassius's voice stayed calm. "St. Alderley needs to earn the right to exist," he said. "A business that refuses to move with the times gets left behind, and the times are demanding dignity." Judge Freeman exhaled slowly, then nodded. "Motion," she said. "Immediate suspension of Graham Weller. Immediate termination review, pending full investigation. Immediate freeze of all vendor contracts connected to Clayton Briggs. External oversight begins today." The trustees murmured agreement, some shaken, some relieved. Graham's face twisted. "You're destroying everything," he whispered. Cassius looked at him. "No," Cassius said. "You tried to destroy people quietly. I'm just turning the lights on." Outside the boardroom, in a quiet corridor, Dr. Bennett caught up to Cassius as the meeting broke. "Mr. Everhart," she said. Cassius turned. "Doctor," he replied. Dr. Bennett's voice was controlled. "They've been retaliating," she said. "Against staff who push back." "Against me," Cassius nodded once. "I suspected," he said. Dr. Bennett swallowed. "I stayed because patients need someone in rooms like that," she said. Cassius's eyes softened. "And now they'll have more than one," he said. A week later, St. Alderley's lobby looked the same, but it felt different. A sign stood on a sleek easel near the entrance. "Urgent care will not be denied based on membership status." A patient advocate stood near reception, tablet in hand, eyes alert. Staff moved differently, like they were aware they were being watched for the first time. Madeline greeted a black elderly man who entered with his daughter. The man looked nervous. The daughter held his arm. "My father's short of breath," the daughter said. Madeline's smile was real now. "Thank you for telling me," she said. "We're going to help him right away. No suspicion, no drug questions, no waiting behind members." In a bright community clinic uptown, a new sign went up. Everhart Cardiac Access Center. Cassius stood at the doorway, watching nurses move with purpose. Dr. Bennett stood beside him, arms folded, quiet pride in her face. "It's a start," Dr. Bennett said. Cassius nodded. "It's a start, that's honest," he replied. Dr. Bennett looked at him. "You could have handled that quietly," she said. "You chose public accountability." Cassius watched a nurse reassure an anxious older black man. "Quiet is how it survives," Cassius said. Months later, on a clear evening, Cassius walked past St. Alderley again. The canopy still glowed. The doors opened immediately. This time, no hesitation. Cassius did not go in. He paused, looked up at the camera, then kept walking, calm, steady. Lokes pulled back, hands in his coat pockets. Because the point was never to be welcomed after the fact. The point was to make sure the next man in the rain did not have to prove he deserved air. If this story moved you, comment where you're watching from, and tell me if you've ever been judged before you spoke. And if you believe in dignity, fairness, and real accountability, like, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs the reminder that the truth can still change rooms.